Hello everyone, and welcome back to reading Lawman's Brut. We've been on hiatus for a little while, and some of that is due to the fact that I was in the process of moving. So I'm recording now from a new location, and that does mean that I might need to experiment a bit with the acoustics in this room, so this is something of a trial run. Hopefully it's not too echoey, and hopefully it won't require too much work, but we'll see how it goes. So, we're picking up today at line 1105. I should say that this is our 17th episode. Last time Brutus died and divided the kingdom of Britain among his three sons, Albanac, Camber and Locrin. The Huns then invaded the north and they killed Albanac, and Locrin and Camber rallied their forces, came up and defeated the Huns and killed their king, who was named Humber, and he drowned in the river, which got named Humber. I mean, as we've seen, this text is, like its sources, Geoffrey of Monmouth and Martha, full of all these kinds of pseudo-etymologies of place names and things of that nature. So, we're picking up just after the battle, just after the victory won by Locrin and his brother Camber.
Humber with switha muchla an her in Layamon hefde I herhede, and hefde that land switha a west, and all that folk switha a wemmed. He nom of than mon kunne, threa switha fire a maidene. There was an had an Astrild, and as heches kinges dochter, the allra firest wiefmon, the wunnede on folke. Das meidenes wären I than schipen mit Humberes monnen. De wuste Humberes fire, de wheelen he winde to fechten. Da Humber was dead, in Humbre drunken, Locrin and Camber to than schipen kommen, for to haben all the achte, the Humber king outer.
Right. Humber, with a very great army, had harried or raided in Layamon, so in Germany, what's now Germany, and more or less, and had very severely laid waste to that land, and very severely killed the people. He took from the people there, that people group, three very fair, very beautiful maidens. One of these, so the one was called Astrild, and she was the daughter of a high king, the fairest of all women, who then dwelt among the people. These maidens were in the ships with Humber's men, who, specifically the men who guarded Humber's possessions. This is the Old English word fair, meaning originally livestock, but comes to mean wealth, movable property. Rather close, I suppose, in sense to the Latin pecus, meaning a flock, and ultimately lies behind the Latin word pecunia. This is kind of like the Germanic equivalent. So, who guarded Humber's possessions while Humber went to fight. When Humber was dead, drowned in the Humber, Locrin and Camber came to the ships in order to have all the possessions which Humber the king had or owned.
Imong thon ship monnen, I funden the three maidenes. Locrin I sech there Astrild, and he her leaflietje beheld, and he her mit armen in nom, eth him was on herten. And he here to side, sel they shall I worthen, wief man do erte hende, and each they wolle haben, mit worshipen heche to richen araquene. The wheel the each liebe, other nulle each haben, for they each swa blide, swa nas I never on lieve.
Among the shipmen, they found, so Locrin and Camber, and presumably their men, they found the three maidens. Locrin saw their Astrild, and he gazed lovingly upon her. You might recognize this turn of phrase, leafliche behelde. We saw it in the prologue in a slightly different context when Lorman was describing himself looking upon the books he was using as his sources. He told us that he turned the page, he wended the leaf, and leafliche beheld. But this is obviously a different situation here, where Locrin, the king, is gazing lovingly upon Astrild. And he took her with his arms. Happiness, ease was to him in his heart. So he was contented and at ease in his heart. And he said to her, "Fortune shall come about for you. You are a gracious or a good woman, a noble woman, and I will have you with great honor as the queen, as a great queen or as a powerful queen. The while that I live, as long as I'm alive, I will not have another. Because of you, I am so blithe, I'm so joyful, so happy, as I was not ever, as I never was before in life." There yet levde Corineus, there in Cornwall was dux. Nevde he butte an dochter, ach her was him swithe der. Locrin him havde on forward, haben that he her wulde. And he her havde I hondfast at foren his hered monnen. Ach for Astrilde love he her wulde beleven. This I herde Corineus, there was in Cornwall dux, that his leve dochter was Locrin at lathed. Then yet or still Corineus lived, who was the duke or the ruler in Cornwall. He had not but one daughter. So he only had one daughter, but she was very dear to him. Locrin had to him in forward, so had in a promise to Corineus, that he would have her. So he would marry Corineus's daughter. And he had her in hand fast. So he had been betrothed to her before his men, before his household. So this is public knowledge that Locrin and Corineus's daughter, whose name we will learn in a few lines, had already been betrothed. They are engaged. But for the love of Astrild, he would leave off or abandon Corineus's daughter, her. Corineus heard this. Corineus, who was the leader in Cornwall, that his dear daughter was hated by Locrin. Corineus was uneather and war on his motor. He ferde to this lande, that he kom to Locrin. He ladde on his exle anne muchele wie ex. He stod before en Locrine and latherliche him lookede on. And thus worde him equaeth Corineus the kemper. Sae me, Locrin, sae me, Layamon, sae me, du ebar sot, serwa de berth jevere, ne shall de none man schilden with schondliche deather. Now, a good principle to adopt in life is to really not make Corineus angry if you can avoid it. And I recommend you go back and look at the last few episodes if you want to know why that is the case. So, Corineus was discontent, he was uneasy, he was not happy, and there was woe in his mind. he went to this land, so to Logres. Remember, the land of Britain is divided into the separate kingdoms and the separate regions, these being Logres and Cambria or Wales, and Albany or Scotland, and then Cornwall down in the south. So Corineus is coming up from Cornwall into Logres, so that he came to Locrin. He brought on his shoulder a great war axe. He stood before Locrin and looked upon him hatefully, and said this word to him, Corineus the warrior. Say to me, Locrin, tell me, hateful man, tell me, you obvious fool. The sense here is like, he's an outright fool, basically, is what he's calling Locrin. May sorrow be given to you, nor shall any man shield you against shameful or dishonourable death.
Thou havest mine dochter, that is mi bern der, and myselven I kände, therefore thou shalt shrinken. Ich liefde mit dine vader, and ledde his verde, money swink, money swat, money na sergfulne plage, money grimde rees, money gretna dunt, money an wunde, money wunderlich fecht. Solide ich und folde, beforen brutone, there was mi der ruine, mi drichliche lavert. You have my daughter, who is my dear child, and myself shamed, or insulted. Therefore you shall, this fantastic word, shrinken, you shall wither, you shall fail. I went with your father and led his army. Many labour, much sweat, and many a sorrowful, this is the word play, but the sense here is fight, so the play of battle, the play of swords, many a sorrowful fight, many a grim assault, many a great blow, many a wound, many an incredible fight, I suffered on the earth, I suffered in the land, before Brutus, who was my dear kinsman, my noble lord. Therefore thou shalt bean fire, for nes he never thee father, for if thou were Brutus' son, ne'er daredest thou me nanne shome, for his love money ertend, ich leide dead, than a grond, and thou me muchele swink mit sar fortjeldest, belevest fire and sheen mine dochter Gwendoline, for al therdisch meiden Astrild hatte. Corineus is still speaking here. Therefore you shall be doomed, for he was never your father. For if you were the son of Brutus, you would not have done to me any shame or any insult. For his love, so for the love of Brutus, many a giant I lay dead on the ground. These were the giants who originally inhabited Britain when it was still called Albion. And I wonder if this is meant to actually be and it just hasn't scanned correctly. I suppose I should probably check the print volume, but for now I think we might just read this as so this N as an H, but you repay my great labour with sorrow. You abandon my fair and beautiful daughter Gwendoline, so we finally get to learn her name. You abandon her for the foreign maiden named Astrild. Now, this word is one that we've seen before, al-theadish, literally other people-ish, and we saw it right at the beginning of the text in reference to Helen of Troy, and this particular incident
with Paris and Helen of Troy, you'll remember, led to the downfall of Troy, of course, which is what set the Trojan survivors wandering in the first place, and that's what caused the exile that eventually led to Brutus and his people being here in Britain. So it's significant that we see this kind of dynamic playing out again, not all that long afterwards, I mean a few generations later. And this is possibly what Corineus has in mind when he's phrasing or framing Locrin's crime in this particular way.
Þú nast of hulche lond her kom heder lithen. Ne hulch king is hier a father, ne hulch quern hier a mother. Ach þú shalt haben for hier a love, that they is our lateste, that al þú shalt to shene mit scherpe mire exe. Corineus op a hof, and his ex adun sloeg, and smart in ene muchele staan, der Locrin stoor overnan. The staan al to shende and Locrin at storte.
Right, so you nast or nust, you don't know from which land she comes. Cum and Leithen, as elsewhere in the text, sort of go together. This cum is kind of like acting a bit like an auxiliary to this infinitive Leithen. So she came hither. You don't know whence she came hither, nor which king is her father, nor which queen is her mother. But you shall have, for her love, so in repayment for your love of her, you shall have that which is most hateful of all, so that you shall completely break apart, split apart with my sharp axe. Corineus really reminds me of Gimli here and the Council of Elrond in the Fellowship of the Ring. Corineus heaved up, he raised up and swung down, slew down his axe and smote upon a great stone where Locrin stood upon. So Locrin standing on this stone in presumably his castle or his palace, and Corineus is just slamming it down. So maybe this is like the dais of that his throne is on, and Corineus is slamming his axe into it. The stone all split apart, and Locrin started back. So a bit of a cliffhanger, but basically, moral of the story is it's best not to make Corineus angry, and obviously, of course, it's best not to go back on your word. And we'll leave it there with that cliffhanger. Thank you for listening. I'm sorry about the delay between episodes. Hopefully the next one won't be too far off, but I do realize I say that very often. So, if you have any thoughts, any comments, corrections, suggestions, or requests, please don't hesitate to get in touch. You can do that either by way of the comments below this video, or you can visit the Facebook page of the video series, and you'll find a link to that page in the video description, and you can comment or message me there. So, thank you very much for your time. I'll see you next time.